Any kind of turning leaps like that, you want to make sure that you get really far down into that plie, make that a moment, get really far up into that leap when you explode so that you have that moment in the air. We want to see you have ballon, which means you're going to float. Hey guys, my name is Jordan Sparks and I'm a professional dancer and a dance coach, and in today's video we are going to be reacting to the new Dance Moms, A New Era, and this solo is by Ashlan Scheide. It is her Dorothy solo, and I've heard that this girl is an absolute star. I did watch a couple episodes of the new Dance Moms, but I haven't really finished it. But we're going to be reacting to her dance today. I'm going to be coaching through the performance and the technique. I am the anti-Abby. I may be very strict and I may be very critical with my corrections, but I'm never mean. So let's get into this video. So let's see what Ashlan did great in this solo and where she could improve. So my first thought just with that entrance on the stage, very convicted, great confidence coming onto the stage. It's very important how you enter and exit the stage at competition because you are being judged from the moment that you walk on till the moment that you walk off, till you are gone past into the wings. And loving the costume, it's very Dorothy. This is kind of reminding me of that one solo that Maddie Ziegler did in the beginning of Dance Moms as well. It looks like we're going for a similar theme here. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're already going to pause. Not at all the kind of song choice that I was expecting. So for the turns, she has great strength, a little bit lacking in the control when it comes into the transitions. We need to make sure to keep our hips neutral in any kind of turn sequence transition. The second that you lose that neutrality in your hips, making sure your hips, the top, if you think of your hips, like say this is somebody's hips. If you dip your hips forward, you're going to lose your control. If you crunch into your back like you're sitting in your turns and your hips dip backwards, you're going to lose your control. So you need to keep your hips completely parallel to the floor, to the sky, and you need to keep that engaged by using your core, closing your rib cage. So meaning your rib cage is pointing downwards and your hips are being pulled up by the lower abdominals so that your hip flexors are completely extended. Okay, so in that split seesaw leap, she really needs to activate the inner thighs and get into that plie and really powerfully leap into that so that you can actually have that moment where you can take a picture in the sky and see that, what we call the Maddie leap here in the Dance Moms community. And the only way to get that is to make sure that you're really turning out, activating those inner thigh muscles and stretching all the way through your ankles, through your foot with both legs. So you're going to really need a deep plie, and you're really going to need to focus on the position of the hips and making sure that the legs are stretched through the correct muscles, which is the inner thighs. If you don't use the inner thighs, you're never going to get that activation to throw the front leg so that it's actually nice and lifted into a giant seesaw leap. So Ashlan is definitely a performer. I'm seeing lots of facials. Your energy is directed at her face and her performance, which is amazing for a dancer. That is what's going to help you, especially in any moments where you flub up or your technique is not the greatest, is entrancing everybody with your performance. So she's great there. I love these Dorothy jazz shoes, and very strong performer, both physically and in her facials. Let's get back into it. Big eyes, big thighs, with smoke and cameras, but she ain't flying in on a bubble butt. Wasting, she a 10 with a bubble butt. She was all of that, so I hooked her up. So just a little angle correction on that Batmom. Make sure that when you're doing your Batmom that you're facing forward, but almost to the corner so that we're not seeing the back of the leg or the butt or the hip. We really want to be seeing the full, nice, extended leg on fast to the audience, which sometimes means cheating it just a little bit. With a rhinestone red bottom ruby pump, she can whip that thing like a cyclone. Hope you got slow motion on your iPhone. When you got cake for the gods, you can take it to eyes. But on the way, she found a game. She said, show me what. Great contractions and releases with this one. She has great rhythm, great musicality, and she really moves through her entire body. She's not stiff like we see from a lot of technical dancers. If you're overly focused on making sure that all of your body is completely correct and neutral through all of your other body movements, for one, you're probably not going to be a great hip-hop dancer, and you're not going to have that natural flow throughout your body. So don't get tense, don't get stiff. Focus on making sure that your alignment is proper when you're doing any kind of technical ballet-based steps, But when it comes to real body movement and being thrashy and in the rhythm, you really need to let go so that you have those proper contractions and releases and can move your body freely and everything is not seized up, creating tension. We want control, which means that your muscle systems are engaged, but you're still breathing, you're still relaxed. You want to have moments in your movement where you are paralleling the strength and being controlled and engaged with completely letting go. And letting go doesn't mean disengaging all of your muscles, it just means allowing them to be free and connected and move where they're supposed to move. The Relevé is very low in the turns. The passe is great. The form, flat back, that's good in her turns. Her arm position is very good. I like to always encourage dancers to keep their arms a little bit lower than where they think they are. You don't want your arms like up here in your turns. That's where a lot of people tend to put their arms. But the higher that your shoulders float up and the higher that your arms are, it means that they're not connected to your lat muscles, which are those muscles on the side of the top of your rib cage. And those are the muscles that are really going to connect your arms to your back so that you're engaged in using them properly. Yeah, I'm seeing that Relevé is always very low. The heel is very close to the floor in the turns. That being said, that second battement was great. Her Relevé in the battement on her supporting leg was actually pretty high and good. The angle was a bit better on that one too. You need to keep the hip down in those PKs. Her foot is in the right place, but her hip is raised. So you want to keep that hip tucked under and down in neutral so that your turnout is engaged and you're using, again, your inner thighs and those turnout muscles instead of using the quad muscles on top of your leg. Nice head roll. Again, you want to make sure that that is on fast to the audience. She did a turning straddle leap. Make sure again that you get really low into your plie before you do an explosive pop up in that straddle leap, and make sure that it is facing the audience. Going down, timber. Never seen a tin man on Tinder, but he had that sex appeal straight right, cause I knew he had buns and skills, so we hit that young big boulevard. Through a jungle party, they was going hard. Elephants twerking, monkeys and it's just giving, like, the movements are a little sloppy, a little not controlled. They're not sharp as they should be. They're not as sharp, especially when it comes to doing the turns and stuff. She has a tendency to let go of her core. She needs to keep her rib cage closed and engaged. That's why she ends up leaning back and the arms are kind of flailing around. You don't want your arms to get behind you. You want to keep them almost parallel to your body, but just like a little bit slightly forward so that you can keep all of that shoulder engagement and have everything still engaged and attached, making sure the elbows stay lifted but not up, just lifted enough so that you can still keep your shoulders pressed down but your elbows lifted. And that's where your arms are going to stay. They'll be like locked in that place if you actually focus on keeping your shoulders down and your elbow lifted at the same time. Those are opposing forces, and your arms will end up staying nice and connected to your back and staying attached where they should be. So in that calypso, again, the same thing, getting much lower into that plie and really exploding so that you can actually have that nice isolated moment in the air where somebody could take a picture and they're going to see that gorgeous calypso Baryshnikov position in the air. The back attitude is a little bit too tight here, and we're not getting as much turnout in the air because we're not getting down into the plie and explosively popping up from that. It just kind of sloughs it together as one movement. When you're doing any kind of turning leaps like that, you want to make sure that you get really far down into that plie, make that a moment, get really far up into that leap when you explode so that you have that moment in the air. We want to see you have ballon, which means you're going to float, and you need to float in the air in those positions or it's just not effective. It's not as impressive as it could be. If it's all just one fluid movement right from the plie up into the leap back down to the floor, it's not impressive. Turn around, say clap, clap, clap. All of this leg extension work with the illusions and stuff, I would like to see her really, really engage and get far, get her body down towards the working leg on the floor so that she can actually access the full range of her extension, because I'm never seeing it hit 180. See, again here, this is a perfect example with the turns. She has a lot of strength. I'm seeing some better turnout and use of the inner thighs with the turns here, but the arms are still, they're not equal on both sides. I'm seeing one rounded arm and one straightened out arm on the other side flailing around. If she really kept the shoulders down and kept the engagement with through the core and the rib cage down, making sure that you really focus on having that flat back, the arms would be able to be more equal. Great movement quality though. She's definitely a performer and she uses her body. It reminds me of like Everly Rose or Kaya. If you watched XOMG Pop, she kind of reminds me of a little Kaya. Okay, so in this position here, we really need to get that supporting leg to be stretched. The knee should not be bent. The knee should be stretched and engaged on the bottom, and she's piking forward her working leg. And the working leg is piked forward, meaning it's like pushing towards the floor instead of being completely open in that full range of the straddle position. Foot shouldn't be piked so far forward that it's covering your face. So towards the end of this movement, she's definitely hitting the full range. When you do a straddle leap and you pancake to the floor so that your stomach is flat on the floor, that's the position that you want to have. Yeah, the legs are definitely better than the arms in the terms and the technique here. I would say that my biggest point where I would be working with Ashlan in order to improve her technique is making sure that she's using the arms properly, engaging through the back, and making sure that everything is connected and strong, that the elbows are lifted but the shoulders are locked down, that the rest of the hands and the wrists and everything are following the line of the lifted elbow, because I'm seeing a lot of floppy flailing around arms in this number. Like when your hands come together in a turn, unless you're doing some kind of specialty novelty movement, your middle fingers should basically be touching in the front. You shouldn't have something like this. I'm seeing a lot of this kind of movement in this solo with the arms. All right, work. So great job. Performance on that was great. Loved the costume. I loved the style for her. I think that this is definitely in her element. It's giving my lip gloss be poppin', that Everly Rose solo, except for like a more advanced, because I think that she is a true junior. I'm not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure that she'd be a real junior. So overall, great performance, great facials. Don't lose that in favor of working on the technique. Really make sure that you're working on those two in tandem at the same time. We don't want you to lose the performance because you become too much of a perfectionist, which this happens when people are really critical on you. So don't do that. Make sure to just keep working at your own level. Criticism is okay. You're never going to be perfect as a dancer. Somebody is always going to have something to critique, so don't take that as a bad thing. We're just trying to help you improve, and there's always improvement to be made. So yeah, for Ashlan, working on that posture, making sure that her back is flat, that she engages through her back, that she's engaging those arms properly, which is going to be, it's a whole holistic thing. You need to have every muscle in your body working together in tandem. Make sure that you have that complete alignment working for you, or you're going to see things coming out of alignment, like an arm being too far behind you, or another one creating too much force where it's not equal between the two arms. So overall, I would say great job. Let me know how you thought of Ashlan's performing here in this Dorothy number down in the comments below. I've got to say, nothing about this number was giving Dorothy to me, literally nothing other than the costume, so that's good. But let me know what you guys thought down in the comments below, if the comments are open on this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.